What should we expect out of tomorrow's
Well, I think it's quite wrong to have huge expectations that there is going to be some headline result out of what is a regular meeting between the Prime Minister of Australia and the President of Indonesia, which covers the full breadth of our relationship. Of course, border security will be part of the discussions I have with President Yudhoyono. That's right, and it's logical, and it's natural. But I'm in the business of working with our Indonesian friends and partners on what actually works in dealing with the challenge of border security, rather than using three-word slogans which sound good, but in practice don't work. And so this is going to be a serious discussion about the economy, about trade and investment links, about how much more we can do on that front, our defence ties, border security, and the rest of our engagement in the region.
Mr. One of those is that you were implementing an election promise when you dismantled the Howard government approach to border protection. Do you concede that it is a mistake, though, that promise that you implemented was elements of it have been proven to be flawed?
As I said recently in interviews, the truth of it is that immigration policy is constantly subject to change, as it should be, because our global and regional circumstances change as well. So on our immigration policy, we've necessarily seen adjustments over time, whether it's under Mr. Howard, it's been under us, and again under us more recently. And I made comments about the speed of adjustment which should have occurred to our policy in that 9-10 period following other developments in our region. But the reason I say all that is that Australia's immigration policy is not etched in stone. You've got to continue to adjust it to changing and emerging circumstances. And we'll do that, but here is the criteria. 1, it's got to work. Number 2, it's got to honour our international obligations. And 3, I am not faintly interested in people producing three-word sound bites to win a few votes, as opposed to doing the real hard work on what actually works for a challenge faced by countries right around the world. Folks, I've actually got to head off to see the President in a minute. Phil, yeah.
Sorry, the party position here is furthering Australian business investment in Indonesia, getting Australian businesses to recognise. How important is an FTA to facilitating that type of investment?
I think it's really important, and the fact that we've got these close economic partnership agreement negotiations underway is fundamental. A lot of Australian businesses have a perception problem when it comes to Indonesia. They think it's just too hard to get into as a market. Well, frankly, if you took that attitude to what it was like dealing in China 10, 20, 30 years ago, or frankly in Japan 40, 50, 60 years ago, we would have got nowhere. All I'm saying is there's 250 million people next door to Australia. It's barely an hour's flight from Darwin, depending on where you are. And therefore, when you see hundreds of millions of people emerging here as the Indonesian middle class wanting to purchase things that we in Australia buy, then frankly the Australian business community needs to lift its horizons and see that there's a whole new world of opportunity here. And folks, I've really got to see the Indonesian President tonight over dinner. I don't want to keep him waiting. Thank you very much.
The Prime Minister Kevin Rudd there speaking after landing in Jakarta a short time ago tonight. Well, a day after the dramatic overthrow of Egypt's first democratically elected president, interim leader Adli Mansour has been sworn in. The United Nations has urged the newly sworn-in transitional government to return to civilian rule as soon as possible. The Chief Justice has taken over as part of a transition plan put into place by the army. He also took an oath of office as head of the Constitutional Court, swearing to safeguard the interests of the people and to protect the nation's independence.
We look forward to hold presidential and parliamentary elections based on a genuine people will, not a fraudulent one. This is the only way for a brighter future and a freer future and a more democratic one and more justice, more awareness, in which the pride of the people and the nation will be preserved. I salute the revolutionary people, the patient people of Egypt that has shown to the whole world that it will not give up, it will not kneel and bow, it will not be broken.
According to military decree, Mr Mansour will serve as Egypt's interim leader until a new president is elected. So far, a date for that vote has not been set. Joel Gulhani is a British journalist working for Daily News Egypt in Cairo. Over the last few days, he's been at the presidential palace and yesterday was in Tahrir Square. He spoke to News 24 a little earlier.
Well, I just got off the phone about 5-10 minutes ago with the official spokesperson for the military here, the armed forces, and he told me that Morsi's not actually been arrested. He's under guard at the Presidential Guards Club, but he did confirm to me that he's not actually been formally arrested. He can't walk free, so I mean, his words were that he's not been arrested, but I feel that he's actually under house arrest. There's not been any information about if he will be charged. The military spokesperson did say to me that in the new Egypt, everyone will be held accountable by